Welcome to Wild Geese International. What I'm about to demonstrate is the use of our customised simulator program that we use for all our management of major emergencies training. We use this simulator in our Malaysian MEM suite in Terengganu, which we use for Petronas, ExxonMobil and a number of other operators. We also use the same simulator in our Perth Fremantle office, where we have done work for Diamond Offshore and Modic Ventures so far. Similar models I designed a couple of years ago and are being used by Falk Newtech in Houston, in Trinidad Tobago and in Johor Bahru, Malaysia and Singapore. You have two screens. You have an instructor screen, normally in a separate room where the instructor assessor is, and over on the left here you have the student screen, which is where we will replicate a control room environment. So the instructor screen drives or steers the student screen. We customize the simulator to suit the client's needs, or we can use one of our many generic packages. We have drilling rigs, MOPUs, MODUs, we have standalone platforms. In all, we have about 60 configuration files in our system. It would be our choice to customize it to suit the client's needs. We have also made ones for onshore chemical plants and airports and chemical fertilizer plants in Saudi Arabia. So basically we use the trackball here and we can operate a function such as the abandon alarm. And you'll notice on the left here, the abandon alarm comes on. What we would then expect the student to do, the person under observation or assessment, would be to acknowledge it by clicking to say he's reseated it, and then he can use the handheld radios to direct the personnel on site to go and investigate, etc. Likewise, we have a public address system for making loudspeaker announcements. All his efforts will be recorded to CCTV and played back during our debrief sessions. The evidence is gathered and recorded to a DVD, similar to the one I am making now, which we then keep in our records in our Perth office to maintain the stability of our RTO status. Let me just activate an alarm in one of the accommodation decks. I open up the accommodation deck, B deck here. I can activate a smoke detector. On the student alarm now, you see a red flashing light. The student must open that up, see that it's a smoke detector in one of the cabins, and acknowledge it. He may then make an announcement. Attention all personnel, we have a smoke detector on B deck. Fire team leader, camp boss, go and investigate. Every movement that he does or doesn't do gets recorded to an electronic database here, and we will bring this up again in our debrief sessions. The action then may be to show escalation. The instructor may open up and go to another deck level and activate a heat detector. The student must find where that detector is, acknowledge that the detector is being activated by accepting the alarm. Once again, that has been recorded to the electronic database. We can activate many detectors here on many different deck levels. We have heli deck, navigation decks, we have between decks, engine rooms, etc. if the installation facility calls for such a deck level. We also have process. There's a crude oil system. We have temperature trip alarms, pressure trip alarms, a number of familiar alarms and detection systems that you would expect to find on live production facilities. Test separator, the turret and bow area, gas detectors, fire detectors, smoke detectors, manual activation call points. Here's the compressor module, a pressure detector. We have set in nominal figures. We may activate. We now have a high warning 80 psi pressure detector in the gas compression module on board this particular FPSO. That single alarm may trip further actions. It may only instigate an investigation, an assessment. He must then now deploy his team to investigate. We can create cascading scenarios or standalone scenarios. This simulator I use at our training centre in Malaysia, which is APITO accredited. It has been endorsed as an APITO learning product. Like I said, this one has been specifically configured for the mutineer field on the MV11. I have a number of these in our system. The course that we run is not to make the CRO comfortable. In fact, it is to take him out of his comfort zone. But at the same time, we must give him terminology, functionality that he would expect to see in his workplace. For example, permit to works, permits returned, area technician investigating. If it's green, it's live. Main generators off, emergency generators on. Isolations are complete. We can depressurize the plant by going over here and clicking ESD and blow down. You will notice now the countdown here from a preset figure of 1000 psi will blow down to 100 psi in 6 minutes. We can activate the deluge. I can also send through some messages or some sounds. For example, I can send in the sound of an explosion. Come through the electronic training equipment in the CCR room that we have set up. I can also send through many other sounds such as grinding metal, man overboard, helicopter landing on the heli deck. These help to enhance the situation. If we can put the students into a realistic environment, it does keep the scenario realistic. There are a number of scenarios that we will create. Traditionally, we pull them from the ERP document as an IMG, an incident management guide. Identified threats and risks that the people on the platform, the facility, have trained with, have drilled with, and are familiar with. The training, where possible, we try and make as customized as we can. We don't want to do generic, preferably, but keep it real, keep it site specific. That way we can look at your ERP document and see if there are errors in your ERP document or areas that we might be able to enhance or improve. We currently deliver this training for the PMA08 standards in Perth from the 511 Manage Emergency Incidents, 320 Manage Incident Response Information, and more recently the PMA 400 series, which is Respond to Abnormal Process Alarms, Respond to Abnormal Process Conditions. This simulator, as you can see by its packaging, is fully portable. We can take this offshore and have done. The MV16, we've taken it offshore and conducted the training and assessment on site. There are some benefits in doing it this way, and there are also some restrictions. It is quite hard to do the training during normal working hours. This simulator has been in use for the last 5 years. You can see now the depressurize is complete. It's down to 100 psi. This now would trigger a number of other alarms to be activated. This is, for want of a better phrase, the grease that keeps the scenario moving. It is not a course about the students or the candidates operating my simulator. More to, this is a method of keeping the scenario real. This, combined with our telephone exchange, our handheld radios, our public address system, our CCTV feeds, and the experience of our instructors that have worked in the industry, builds a very, very good training program. I hope after watching this movie you have a better understanding of the functionality of how this simulator works. We have in all about 30 different detectors and initiators, instigators that we can preset into this simulator. We rely on you completing a site-specific technical data sheet, and then about 1 day I can create a simulator based on your facility. I require your ERPs in soft format and some PDF files of technical drawings, PIDs of the layout, so I can build it to suit you and to suit your needs. We would then talk about the underpinning knowledge in theory format in a classroom environment such as we have in our Fremantle Centre, and then put the students, the participants, through some practical scenarios, and then the required assessment scenarios, either at level A, level B, or level C. Level C being an abandonment scenario. The students, depending on what standard you wish to administer, will either have to successfully complete 2 scenarios or 3 scenarios for the APITO standard. A big part of this training is the debrief sessions at the end of each scenario. Scenarios go for between 30 and 45 minutes, at the end of which the instructing staff and assessors will sit down with the candidate and discuss where the criteria or the elements of assessment were met and areas that need improvement. What we're looking for is to promote positive trends and break poor trends. The trend would be something that continually appears as a behavioural response. We are trying to deliver this training in accordance with industry best practices and standards.